The human body is not built to be a weapon. It is built to walk, to carry, to rest. For 13 years, Lawrence Taylor convinced the world otherwise. He took a 240-pound frame and turned it into a guided missile. He bent the laws of physics around offensive tackles. He made quarterbacks see ghosts before the ball was even snapped. But the body keeps a ledger. Every collision, every twisted joint, every moment of chemical escape it, all gets entered. And eventually the bill comes due. In April of 2026, that bill arrived with a finality that even the most feared linebacker in NFL history could not intimidate. This is not a story about a football player. This is a story about what remains when the helmet comes off, when the crowd goes home, when the diagnosis lands. In 1979, the NFL was a different religion. Quarterbacks dropped back, surveyed the field, and threw the ball. They had time, almost 3 seconds on average. Enough time to read a newspaper, let alone a secondary. Offensive linemen were large, slow, and predictable. The game was a chess match played at walking speed. Then came the 22-year-old from North Carolina. The statistical anomaly is staggering. Before Lawrence Taylor, the sack was a footnote. After his rookie season, it became an obsession. But numbers don't capture what actually happened. What happened was fear. He didn't just beat blockers, he dismantled their psychology. Offensive coordinators started using 2 tight ends just to slow him down. They assigned running backs to chip him. They designed entire game plans around a single question: where is number 56? That single question raised the salary of every left tackle in the league, because the left tackle was the only man standing between the quarterback and a rearranged spine. But here is what the highlight reels never show. The upbringing. Williamsburg, Virginia. The late 1960s. A father who worked double shifts as a dispatcher. A mother who taught school and kept the house in order. Lawrence Taylor was not raised with a silver spoon. He was raised with a quiet, relentless pressure. Perform. Survive. Do not complain. His high school coaches saw the rage before they saw the talent. He played baseball first. Catcher. The gear was heavy. The heat was brutal. But he was too restless for baseball. He needed contact. He needed the collision to tell him he was alive. When he stepped onto a football field at 15, something clicked. Not because he loved the game, because the game loved his violence. The Giants were desperate. 18 years without a playoff win. A franchise wandering in the wilderness. They drafted a linebacker. They expected a reliable edge presence. They received a nuclear weapon. His first training camp, veterans like Harry Carson watched with narrowed eyes. They had seen rookies crumble. They had seen hype fade. But Taylor was different. His first step was so explosive that offensive linemen were caught flat-footed before the play even developed. By the end of his rookie season, he had 133 tackles and 9.5 sacks. Sacks weren't even an official statistic yet. That's how new this all was. He was rewriting the rulebook while everyone else was still reading it. The apex. Lawrence Taylor became the first defensive player in 15 years to win the NFL Most Valuable Player award. He led the Giants to a Super Bowl victory. He was the most feared man in the most violent sport in America. But here is the brutal arithmetic of that season. Every sack, every forced fumble, every interception, it was a transaction. He was trading his future comfort for present glory. The artificial turf of the Meadowlands was not grass. It was a green painted parking lot covered in thin carpet. It had zero give. When Taylor planted his foot to bend around an offensive tackle, his knee absorbed the force of a 240-pound man moving at 20 miles per hour, stopping on a dime. Over and over and over. Cartilage wears down. Ligaments stretch. Bones microfracture. By the time the confetti settled, he was already carrying an invisible weight. But the physical destruction was only half the equation. The other half was chemical. Football produces an adrenaline spike that few other activities can replicate. The collision, the victory, the roar, it's a biological high. And when Sunday ends, the high crashes, the body aches, the mind races. For Lawrence Taylor, the off switch was broken long before he retired. In 1988, the NFL suspended him for 30 days after a violation of the league's substance abuse policy. The headlines were brutal. The cameras followed him to rehab. The narrative became, "Superstar loses control." What the headlines missed was the desperation. He wasn't partying, he was surviving. The suspension didn't cure him, it shamed him. And shame is a poor substitute for treatment. Then came 1995. The arrest for soliciting an undercover police officer, the prostitution sting, the mugshot. Then 1996, cocaine possession, the admission that he sometimes played entire games while under the influence of cocaine. He called it focus. And then there was the family. Deborah Belinda Cooley, the wife behind the legend, the mother of his children, the one who had to explain to their kids why daddy wasn't there, even when he was physically present. The domestic life of a superstar is a paradox. In public, he was invincible. In private, he was unreachable. The same intensity that crushed quarterbacks crushed the peace of his household. Infidelity, emotional distance, the slow erosion of intimacy. Deborah saw the man behind the jersey, the one with the aching knees, the chemical dependencies, the inability to simply be still. She saw him before the public understood. She lived it. She walked away from it. The divorce was not a scandal. It was a consequence, the price extracted from the people closest to the fire. This is the part of the story that football does not want to tell. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. The progressive degeneration of brain tissue caused by repeated blows to the head. It manifests as impulse control issues, paranoia, substance abuse, memory loss, and eventually, dementia. Lawrence Taylor has never been publicly diagnosed with CTE. Posthumous diagnosis is the only certainty. But the symptoms? They were on display for decades. The substance abuse, the erratic behavior, the legal trouble, the inability to maintain relationships, the financial impulsivity. These are the fingerprints of a brain under siege. In 2013, the NFL agreed to a $1 billion settlement with former players suffering from neurological conditions. It was the largest injury settlement in sports history. It was also an admission. The league knew. They knew about the concussions. They knew about the long-term damage. Lawrence Taylor represents the paradox of that settlement. He is too proud to accept charity, too defiant to admit weakness. And yet his very existence is evidence of the league's failure. Did the NFL enable this? The answer is uncomfortable. They didn't create his addiction, but they created the environment, the culture of violence, the pressure to play through pain, the glorification of the warrior mentality, the implicit message, your body is not yours, it belongs to the game. The financial trajectory is equally brutal. He made millions, he lost millions. Endorsements, contracts, paydays that seemed bottomless in the 80s. They evaporated. Divorce settlements, legal fees, bad investments, trusting the wrong people. In his later years, reports surfaced of him selling autographs for cash, not for prestige, for survival. The same hands that once forced quarterbacks to panic were now signing memorabilia at a convention table. The disparity is harsh. A man who generated billions for the NFL. A man who made the Giants a global brand. A man who literally changed the way football is played, and he was left to piece together his financial future at autograph tables. April 2026. The news broke in fragments. Panic. Hospitalization. Serious condition. The word pancreatitis meant nothing to football fans, but to the medical community it was a flashing red light. Pancreatitis is inflammation of the pancreas. It is excruciating. It is often fatal. And in cases like Taylor's, it is almost always connected to years of substance abuse, prescription painkillers, and metabolic stress. His body was finally shutting down. The same body that once absorbed 300-pound linemen, the same body that never missed a game because of a twisted ankle, the same body that seemed invincible, it was failing, not dramatically. Quietly, in a sterile room with fluorescent lighting. No crowd, no opponents, just a man and the bill. The reports were cautious. The family asked for privacy. The fans sent prayers. But the reality was undeniable. Lawrence Taylor, at 67, was facing mortality, not as a warrior, not as a champion, as a patient, as a man whose body had finally said no more. By May 2026, he was discharged. Home, Florida. He told reporters he wanted to get strong enough to return to the golf course. That sentence was more revealing than any interview. He no longer talks about sacks. He talks about swings. He no longer talks about quarterbacks. He talks about the weather. This is not a happy ending. This is a truce. The golf course is not a symbol of peace. It is a symbol of exhaustion. He is too tired to fight anymore. The game doesn't care about his legacy. The game doesn't care about his addiction. The game doesn't care about his brain. The game only cares about what he can do next. And he can't do anything anymore, except watch the ball fly, except breathe, except exist. Contrast is the cruelest form of truth. Look at the footage from 1986, the explosion off the line, the ferocity in his eyes, the absolute certainty that he was the most powerful man on the planet. Now look at the footage from 2026, the slow walk, the guarded expression, the way he holds his body like it might fall apart. That is the arc. That is the wreckage. Lawrence Taylor is not a perfect man. He never was. He cheated on his wife. He did drugs. He broke the law. He made terrible choices. But he was also a masterpiece of athletic engineering, a generational talent, a man who changed the sport forever. And that is the tragedy. The greatness and the wreckage are inseparable. We cannot celebrate one without acknowledging the other. We cannot raise a statue without remembering the scars. We cannot chant his name without confronting the silence that follows. The diagnosis is not just pancreatitis. It is the culmination of a lifetime of trauma. It is the physical manifestation of a deal made decades ago. I will give you my body. You will give me glory. The glory is documented. The body is failing. The deal is complete. And as the sun sets over a Florida golf course, Lawrence Taylor sits alone in a cart, watching the light fade. He is not angry. He is not triumphant. He is simply tired. The question is not whether Lawrence Taylor was great. The question is whether we, the fans, the league, the culture, were worthy of his sacrifice. And the answer, if we are honest, is painfully clear. We were not.